What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie298 coming at you live once again through the power of the internet. And I was really hoping this year we were going to hear announcements about the next generation Xbox and the next generation PlayStation. But it seems like that's not what this year's E3 is going to be about. Which means I don't know what this year's E3 is going to be about because there's like no video games on the horizon for the next couple of years. So who knows? But we've already seen some specs from the Xbox One, and now we are starting to see some specs from the PlayStation 5, so we know that these boxes are eventually coming. And a lot of people are saying that these are probably the last generation of consoles we'll ever see. But of course, people said that about the last generation. Cloud computing just isn't there yet. But even though we're probably not getting an official reveal of the PlayStation 5 this year at E3 or anything close to it, Sony has been very forthcoming with information about the PlayStation 5. They shared a lot of information with stockholders and marketing people, and now they've shared that with us. You can find this at sony.net if you want to see everything we know about the PlayStation 5 so far. But so far, Sony has said that they will have an all brand new CPU and GPU. The PlayStation 5 will include an SSD, which will result in a lot of big perks. If you've never had an SSD in one of your machines, you're going to love it. It looks like the PlayStation 5 will be backwards compatible with the PlayStation 4, which I think is a no-brainer at this point. After Xbox did it and it was so successful, it seems like exactly the thing they should be doing in this generation. The PlayStation 5 is also promising ray tracing technology, and if you're not familiar with ray tracing technology, check it out because it can make almost any game, including Minecraft, look absolutely gorgeous. PlayStation 5 is looking to future-proof by going 8K, which is, to me, kind of silly because I don't have an 8K television, and I'm probably the guy who should. I know a lot of my friends and family don't even have 4K televisions yet, but I get it, they're future-proofing. Then they are promising they will have a disk drive. It will not be an all-digital console. I'm pretty sure by the end of this next generation, almost all sales will be digital, and you'll have to buy games digitally because the discs will really only have like a patchable version of the game available on discs. But it's nice to see they're still going to continue disc support into at least one more generation, especially for people who still like HD Blu-rays and that kind of thing. And then finally, when it comes to the audio, they're doing 3D audio. And I know a lot of you guys don't even really care that much about audio in video games, but they are probably going to continue to support virtual reality in the next generation. And when they do, 3D audio will be very, very important for that. And that, unfortunately, is pretty much it. We still don't have a release date. We still don't have a release price. We still don't know what games will be supporting the platform in the next generation. We're pretty much up in the air. I'm hoping we'll learn more about that at E3 this year, but the idea of it coming out this year seems really unlikely. And because of that, you probably should not be turning in your PlayStation 4 for GameStop credit just yet, because even Sony is telling its stockholders that the PlayStation 4 will continue to be the engine of engagement and profitability over the next 3 years. So we may not even have a PlayStation 5 in our hands until 2021. Oh my gosh. But that also can mean it could come out in 2020. They just don't expect it to be profitable in that year, and that means they would probably be selling the device at a loss, which is very common for previous generations, which is something I hope they do. I hope it's a very powerful machine at a very affordable price so they can get it into homes, and we get a very powerful machine as a result. Also notable in this discussion, they talked about multi-device streaming, which is something we've also seen Google getting into with their new service. But the idea to stream from your PlayStation to your iOS devices, your Android devices, or your PC and Mac is something I think we'll expect to see in the Xbox, PlayStation, PC gaming moving forward. So this should be very common. Since nobody bought a Vita, very few people realize that PlayStation's already been able to do this for a while. You've been able to stream from your PlayStation 4 to your PlayStation Vita anywhere in your home and outside of your home via the internet. That's a cool ability. So if I can bring my PlayStation with me and my iOS tablet and play video games that way at my home PlayStation, that's something I would definitely purchase a console for. I would rather have that, I think, than I would rather have the Google service they've offered. And of course, because streaming is so important for this next generation, we are seeing PlayStation talk about that as well. Nothing new here for the most part. I mean, at the end of the day, streaming video games is the future, and they're aware of it. And because subscription services are so important moving forward, they also did talk about PlayStation Now, which, again, I don't really know the numbers for PlayStation Now. It's not a terrible service. It's not a bad service. It's just not a service a lot of people need. But if we see this coming to multiple devices besides a PlayStation, streaming to smart television, streaming to iPhones and iPads and things along that lines, then I think it might end up being a lot better, but time will tell. So overall, the PlayStation 5, looks like it's in the position to take the lead for the next generation. It's an 8K machine with ray tracing and a built-in SSD so that the load times are way better than consoles are used to, and it just looks like a decent machine. They are future-proofing with the 8K, and they're also future-proofing with streaming and making sure it's a very convenient device, and it does look like, even though they're not really pushing VR for the next generation, at least currently, they are making sure the system is backwards compatible with VR. If they make a mistake and force everybody to buy a VR headset, I think that could tank them for the generation, so they probably won't do that, but time will tell. Now again, some analysts are saying this will probably be the last PlayStation because we will move into a world in which everything is not computer generated by a console, but instead is a streaming service. That might very well be the case, but again, they were predicting that at the beginning of this last generation, and while we saw several iterations of the Xbox One, saw several iterations of the PlayStation 4, I think we'll see the same thing with the PlayStation 5, and I wouldn't count out a PlayStation 6 just yet. Honestly, I think 5 to 10 years from now, who knows? And when it comes to all of this streaming stuff, I am positioned to be able to really enjoy that stuff because I have fiber internet here at my house, not brought to me by a cable company, but brought to me by somebody else. So I am a very, very lucky person here in the United States to have that kind of speed with no data caps and no BS. But I'm curious what kind of internet you guys have at home and whether or not you would be able to take advantage of something like streaming directly from your PlayStation 4 to wherever you are in the world, or more importantly, cloud computing via the Google services or PlayStation Now or things along that lines. Are you even in a position where you can use that service? And if you are, do you use that services? Because I could use it. I just don't. My biggest concern right now is there's no games announced for the PlayStation 5, which obviously that's going to come soon. But as it is right now, stuff like The Last of Us 2 are still scheduled to come out on the PlayStation 4. So I have no idea what they're going to lead with the PlayStation 5. I couldn't even guess at this point. I don't even really have hopes. So if they do what Xbox did and they don't launch with a lot of exclusive games, they're going to be in some serious trouble. That's my biggest concern for PlayStation right now. And since it's probably at least a year, but maybe 2 years or even 3 before we get our hands on a PlayStation 5, Sony is at a position where they can continue to damage their lead by doing things like censoring games like, Devil May Cry 5. As long as they continue to do stuff like this, it's definitely going to make gaming worse for Sony, and it's going to put Xbox in a position where they could pull ahead, or even Nintendo. But to answer the question, will we see the PlayStation 5 at E3 this year? I think we're going to see hints about it, and we will probably see some of the hints about the games that will eventually appear on it, but I expect this year with their show, which is not even part of E3, but the show they put on around E3, will probably focus mostly on the PlayStation 4, indie titles, VR titles, and hopefully some hints of games to come for the PlayStation 5, and maybe just a nod to the consumer that the PlayStation 5 will eventually come. But if we really are waiting 2 or maybe 3 years for another PlayStation, this particular PlayStation, then it is entirely possible that Xbox could release 6 months earlier, even a year earlier, and actually win this generation if they have an equally compatible machine, maybe with VR, definitely without the Kinect, and more importantly, with the new Halo game on it. But my prediction, because of the console wars and because they don't want Xbox to get ahead, I would expect to see both this PlayStation 5 and the Xbox, 2, to be released third, probably fourth quarter of 2020. So start saving your money now. But in the perfect world, Xbox would make this entire E3 showing all about the next generation Xbox, and they would rush it to market. Hopefully not a rushed product, but just get it there as quickly as possible while still in very good form, and drop it before PlayStation could drop it, and create some real competition for Sony, because Sony really needs that competition right now. Now, that's just one man's opinion. I could be wrong, and I know if I am wrong, you're going to let me know in the comment section below. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Are you excited for a PlayStation 5? Do you think it's too early? Do you think it's too late? Are you tired of your PlayStation? Did you just buy a brand new PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One X? Let me know in the comment section below. While you're down there, hit subscribe to this channel if you want to see more videos like this, and if you do, hit that notification bell so you are one of the first people to see a video when it goes live, because if you click on a video within the first hour and watch it to its entirety, you can guarantee the success of that video, and it means the world to me if you do. Guys, as always, thank you for watching. I love you very much, and I'll speak with you again soon.
I don't care about no PlayStation. I don't care about no PlayStation, okay? Lame station, all right? That's more like a lame station, all right? I'm Nintendo Switch all the way. Mario Maker in 2019, Pokemon Sword and Shield 2019. Who wants a stupid PlayStation? All right? Why don't you censor these nuts? Hey, Sony, why don't you censor my ass? I'm gonna give me one of them new Xboxes. It's hard to say Xbox with these teeth, but I might give me one of my new Xboxes. New Halo coming out. Fuck you, Sony.